Hi there crafters, welcome along. It's Louise with you today, sharing a new 12 by 12 layout for Kidaholic Kids. I had this kind of idea in my head. I've gone back to a little bit of a sort of a die cutting phase, and it's kind of something that I'm focusing on a little bit at the moment. So I had this idea that I wanted to use some of the really pretty pattern papers from this month's kit, and I wanted to die cut them and actually create this sort of exploding star background from behind a circular center of paper. So it's kind of, I don't know where this came from. It was just in my head that these pattern papers needed to be die cut, and so I thought about how I could potentially turn that into a layout, and I went with this pop of stars from behind the circle. So the first thing you can see as I'm doing is I'm pulling out my die cut machine, which is very well loved. I'm not going to use the OLD word because then it might get upset, but it's definitely been my trusty go-to for many, many years. And so I'm going to cut just a bunch of these stars, and I'm not going to show you this whole process. I'm going to turn the camera off and come back to that. But I use various pattern papers, mainly this sort of floral one to give me a mix of florals. But you can see I've also used some lighter ones as well. Giving me a mixture of sort of colours. I didn't want to make the explosion of stars a rainbow as such, but I wanted it to sort of have that little peak. And this is more about sort of a textural outside element versus the actual patterns on the paper. Now, I have cut my circle just a little bit too large and it was overshadowing some of those stars. So I give it a little trim, and I didn't have to be too pedantic about my circle. Like, it didn't have to be perfect. I've also mounted it just on a little bit of thin cardboard so that it lifts off the page and again gives those stars something to peek out from behind. So I started first with distressing the star, and then I thought, no, that's too fragile. That's going to take me forever. So what I'm actually doing is just curving the points of the stars with my fingers. So I'm just sort of roughing them and bending them. I'm mounting some of them with some foam tape to give them dimension. Some of them I'm sticking directly onto the background. But essentially the finished product, some of them I've left overhang onto the actual circle. And it's at this time where I sort of start to build on the actual basics of the layout. So I really do like this star background. It's quite hard to see on the video that you're watching, but it did turn out really well, and it is so textural in the album. You'd really just get the enjoyment of looking at this. So I had lots of fun, and I hope it's the kind of project that you might like to scrap lift. I am a huge fan of the scrap lift. I think it's wonderful to see how your work inspires others. So if you do want to scrap lift this, I'm always all about, getting layouts done and helping to inspire. So definitely go for it. And of course, just leave me a comment or send me a message, share your project with me. I love to see how you might do this sort of project. Okie dokie. So building around my cluster, you can see I've used that little bit of twine, the little hanging tassel, matting again, a little bit more patterned paper just to tie my stars into my actual photo focus. I thought about actually stitching around my circle, but honestly it was just not going to go through my sewing machine with all that foam and cardboard underneath it, so I go with a little bit of faux stitching and just use a gel pen to trace around that sort of faux stitching. Now that I'm happy with my cluster, I kind of need to just work on embellishing. So one of the main things is to get a title and to add my journaling as well. So I'm pretty happy with how this has turned out. I love this star background. I think the white circle in the middle really gives you a great background to work with without being too overwhelming. And the texture is just super. I really love those sort of curved and distressed stars. All right, adding my journaling, and then I'm going to add my title, which I've simply used the word happy days. So I'm going to use a combo of different alphas here. So the sparkly happy from this month's kit, and then a couple of alphas from my stash for the word days. And finally, it's just a matter of adding a couple of the little puffy hearts to embellish, but I really wanted those stars around the outside to be the feature of this layout. So I hope that you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you will hit subscribe or check out Kitaholic Kits.